is involved in killing her sister. So it's like, oh, well, he's no longer an option. So she's gonna go out with a potato. And
See, that was a spoiler. I've only seen 2 Hunger Games films. I
there
don't even know how many there are, but
there are 4, which is, I believe,
okay.
4 too many. I'm not a fan.
One of the things I like about this movie is, by the way, if you watch this, the first 5 to 10 minutes, you'd be like, "Oh, this movie! This is a terrible movie."
Yep.
There are 2 deaths in the beginning of this movie on a beach, and really, it's only there to establish that he has this girlfriend, and her brother is his best friend, fiance, and her brother is his best friend, and they're lifesavers on a beach in Australia, and there's a guy, old guy that gets eaten by a shark, and then his best friend and there's a horrible image. And I think this was released in 3D. I'm guessing that
yes, it is. It is Bates 3D is the official title in cinemas. I've only seen it in 2D. I'm assuming that's the same with you. And the shot of the shark, which is an overhead shot of the shark jumping up through Todd is the brother's character, through his surfboard and at the camera. My wife said this was the worst film she'd ever seen. 6.5 minutes into the film, and I do not blame her.
Yeah, it's terrible. You know what? And the thing about the sharks in this movie, either you hate the shark or you love the shark. I mean, there are shots of the sharks in this movie that look just terrible. I mean, Jurassic Park, it is not.
No. That's the problem, because they have another terrible CGI shark right at the end. All of the stuff between those 2 bits, I really enjoyed. It's actually pretty good for a sharks in a supermarket setup. It's decent, but it's just bookended by these 2 terrible scenes.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
I think there were more terrible scenes. I think the scene with Steven and his shopping cart outfit and where the shark comes by and just bumps him and then walks. I don't know why the shark didn't find him more interesting, but anyway, that shark, when you could tell it was a CG shark, it was bad. It was bad CG. And there were other scenes like with the couple in the car park, and the upside down BMW. By the way, I don't know. I think we need to go to Mythbusters or whatever and put people in a BMW and turn it upside down and then flood it in water and see whether or not the BMW. Oh no, it wasn't turned upside down. No, I'm sorry. See whether or not. I don't think a car that is submerged in water will. Water's going to leak into that car.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to come through the air vents. It's going to come through the doors. It's going to come through something. But I didn't mind. I quite enjoyed that it allowed us to have these people having a conversation in a submerged car. If it was leaking, we wouldn't get that. So I didn't.
I agree. But I thought, these 2 people with their Pomeranian dog in the submerged BMW, and it's like airtight and it's not leaking. I think that's just the definition of white entitlement right there. I'm not sure, but one of them dies, so it doesn't matter. And you know what? By the way, that Pomeranian, I didn't remember, but I thought that was going to be shark food because I've seen steaks on a plane. Yeah, it almost was, but yeah. But I was going to say about the shark in the scenes with them in that car. When you see the shark just floating past, I thought the shark looked really good. It looked almost like they were using like some sort of model shark.
They were at times. There are some scenes using a model and some using a CGI. So I think the scenes where like its jaws don't move, it's a model.
Oh.
Which is great. Okay. I mean, they did the same thing with Deep Blue Sea. There's some great like model work sharks in that, and some less great CGI, which when models wouldn't do. So.
Oh. That's cool. Yeah. See, I would have just left the model stuff and taken out all the CGI, and there you go.
Well, the model can't jump through the surfboard.
Yeah, but you just take it out.
So yes, I'm right there with you in saying that opening shark is awful. It's one of the worst things I've seen. It's like PlayStation 1 level graphics, and there's like helicopters at the end when they like get out of the supermarket that look the same with awful helicopters floating around as well, and the camera like flies through like a little bit of the undercarriage of the helicopter. Like, why are you showing off with this thing that looks terrible? This came out 2012, so it's 13 years after Deep Blue Sea and looks infinitely worse at every opportunity. The value of practical effects cannot be undersold.
And defenders of this movie, and I think that we both really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
But you really can't help but mention the stuff that's bad. I mean, I used to have a Doctor Who podcast, and a lot of Doctor Who, especially in the 70s and 80s, it looks bad. I memean, rubber alien suits and all that, and you just kind of go with it because it's Doctor Who and like whatever.
It's a low budget show, yeah.
Yeah, and this, it's not Hollywood. It's not Hollywood, in fact. But the stuff that looks bad, I'm like, why didn't they just leave it out? There's one other curious thing about this is that it is Australian production, a Singaporean production, and a Chinese production. Three countries that I never thought would get together to make a movie. And if you go on IMDb, I find it curious that I think out of the 4 top billed actors, 2 of them that were two of them are Asian, Chinese or Singaporean, whatever.
Yeah, the manager and the new boyfriend.
Yeah, and they don't have much. They really don't have much in this movie at all. But that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned there's a lot of characters on People Survive. I would argue maybe there's too many characters, but not by a lot. It's just there's quite a lot, and most of them survive. And I'm here to watch people get killed by sharks. So I could have done with a few more people dying. Like we have the main guy Josh, have his ex-fiancée Tina, who comes back with her new boyfriend Stephen. And there's the manager Jessup. There's a security guard who's like the first to die post tsunami. I don't think we mentioned there's a tsunami. That's the reason that they're stuck in there, and the sharks are in there. Then there's Judy McMahon, who's trying to rob the place, and then there's the guy who set him up for it. Kirby was his name, I want to say.
I don't know.
Then there's the two people with their dog underground. There's Ryan, who's in the back room at the start, and his girlfriend has been nicking stuff. And so Ryan gets trapped in the car park with the 2 assholes and their dog, and his girlfriend Jamie is upstairs in the supermarket. And then there's her dad, who's the cop, who's been called in to arrest her for that. And then there's Naomi, who's another colleague at the store, who is just like friends with Josh and kind of falls for Judy McMahon's character Doyle. So there's a lot of people in there, and it's easy to lose track of them all, I think. And I just
like 4 of them die, I think.
Yeah, not many die, and most of them survive. So I feel like Naomi gets pretty much nothing to do, and it felt like Judy McMahon was cast, and it was like, I want a love interest. And they looked around, and there wasn't anyone he could use. So they were like, let's just write in this person and have her survive. Because Naomi's not integral to any scene that happens at all. Which, hey, they could have written her for more to do, but they didn't. So.
Yeah, there's the point where the villain basically grabs her and takes her hostage for like a hot minute, and that's it. And I really thought that she was going to get it at some point, because in these movies, there's always that nondescript person who just is there for, a jump scare or something.
Yeah, which was the security guard here, basically, wasn't it? Like, he's there, you know who he is, but he's not really got a character. He's going to die.
Yeah.
Which happens quite early on when he gets volunteered. He's like, they need someone to go check out if there's a way out of the back, and the cop who's been injured is like, Collins, you go do it, and he's like, oh, okay, and dies.
And I practically out loud said, bye, so long. I knew he was going to die. I just knew it. You could just tell. You've got your finger on the pulse of this movie. Yeah, and there's so much in this movie that you've seen in other movies. But it's sharks in a supermarket and in a car park.
They did something fun with his death, which was one of the highlights of the film for me, where he gets attacked. But this is when they find out there's a shark in the water with them. And actually, when they see the shark, there's like a doll's head kind of tied to it, which is bobbing along the water. Yes. That was creepy and cool. So I liked that. Yes, they didn't do enough with that. Cool. But he gets attacked, and he makes it to the shelves that they're all like perched on top of, and he reaches up, and one of the characters, I think it's Jamie, the cop's daughter, the pickpocket, she like grabs his arm and is helping him up, and then there's a shot where it looks like he's coming up, and then his head just drifts away from his arm, and it's really well done. I really liked that shot because he's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. He's just turning around to see if the shark. Oh no, he's still turning. The head is bobbing away. He dead. That was just a really nice, inventive moment.
I thought that they were going to do that thing that started, I think, in Jaws 2, where you pull the person out of the water and their whole torso is missing. And it's like, oh my God, he's dead. It's a corpse and he's cut in half. Well, let me go. Let go of him.
There's a great bit in Deep Blue Sea 2 where that happens when they're climbing out of a shaft and they're pulling one guy up. And as they pull him up, it's just his top half. And then they just let go of him and drop him down. Because there's baby sharks in the shaft.
We don't need Bob anyway. He was just the accountant.
Exactly.
We just need the strong people. Lots of gore in this. Lots of fun gore. And not in the car park. Who's the guy in the car park?
Well, Ryan's the guy on his own. And then there's, I think, Kyle and... I have no idea what Kyle's girlfriend was called. I'm going to go with Heather because she's in the credits. And yes, Heather. Kyle and Heather.
Okay. Heather. Okay.
Ryan, Freak Boy, as he gets called.
He sees a lot of gore. There's like basically a bunch of cars piled up, and there's some people that were there that are no longer alive, and we see pieces of them. And I was like, holy cow, that's pretty grody. There was something that I was confused about. How many sharks are there?
I believe there are two.
Two.
Well, there's two because there's no easy way to get from the supermarket to the car park, so it's just kind of fluke that both of these locked off areas have a giant shark in them.
Okay, so then I have to ask you. I remember Josh killing one of the sharks, but the other shark does not. I mean, I watched this very late at night. There may have been some bourbon involved, but the other shark does not get killed.
Josh kills both sharks.
Oh, he does.
So okay. Yes. So after Kyle dies in the parking lot, just by Ryan swimming to the van that Kyle and Heather are on top of, Kyle then falls off and dies. Fine. Ryan then starts hitting a pipe in the car park so that then his girlfriend Jamie can hear them upstairs. So Jamie and Josh then go down. They swim down to the. They make a way through, swim down to the car park, and they find out the car they're on top of is Jamie's dad's car. It's a cop car. There's guns in it. So he gets in, he gets a shotgun, dives into the water, and shotguns a shark underwater with giant plume of blood comes through. It's incredible. So that's the first one.
See, what you just said, if I heard that, I'd be like, that sounds like the stupidest thing in the world, but they execute it very well.
They do.
And I actually thought that that's how he killed the one that was in the upstairs. But
no, the one that's upstairs is actually disappointing. I would say that they're trying to get out. Judy McMahon's had a plan where they've hooked and caught the other shark.
That's right.
There's
yes,
like the meat
yes,
counter.
Okay.
So Jamie swam over to it. She's got a meat hook and some meat to catch it. They managed to catch it. Live bait, as they use, which I want to talk about that guy in a minute. But they got that shark. Then there's like an aftershock earthquake and the shark gets loose. But Judy McMahon's got a plan to explode the car that's blocking the entrance. But basically, Josh gets a taser and he tasers the shark. He hits it right in the nose and it electrocutes. And whilst everyone else is out of the water. I don't think that would work. I don't think there's enough charge in a taser to kill a 12-foot great white shark. I haven't tried it. Listeners, don't try it. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do this at home. Don't get your 12-foot great white shark out of the closet and try that out because it's not recommended.
But it feels... It's not a satisfying end. I feel like these kind of films should end with a shark blowing up.
So the blowing up of the shark in the car park was premature in a way. Like maybe they should have switched and they just sort of like leave and like, oh man, we're alive and we're gonna get rescued by a helicopter. Okay, all right, that's fine, whatever. But I agree, I wanted more people to die. But
yeah, because he gets the taser at the same time as the shotgun, so I feel like they could have just switched those deaths somehow.
Yeah,
but they didn't.
What were you going to say about somebody with the meat hook?
Yes, well, it's Kirby. So Kirby is the other criminal who basically, it seems like Julian McMahon. I think his brother owes somebody a lot of money, and if